Hey, Angelika.
Hey, Igor.
Glad to be here. And interesting enough, for our listeners, maybe they don't know this, but yesterday I had the privilege to give my very first lecture in Europe. So I gave a lecture at the Amsterdam University of Applied Science about artificial intelligence and about click and the intersection between AI and click, and it was very interesting thing, and was Angelika invited me. It was a great experience, but I want to start this conversation asking you, Angelika, what's the work we do with the university, what topics and subjects you study, and how click plays a role into that.
Well, first of all, when we start at the minor, which takes about 6 months, right? So it's divided in two trimesters. In the first trimester, the students learn to analyze with Click. I've built about 5 lessons around the topic and one fun topic about Friday the 13th. The movie and find some interesting facts there. And we start with business requirements, discovery of the organization with a data and analytics scan. So, and to identify quick wins to solve problems within the organization. And in the second block, we will talk on Mondays because I will teach 2 times a week during the second trimester, and in the first trimester, 1 times a week. And we talk about data management, about requirements gathering, about the importance of metadata. Um, and the students on Thursday have to build their own projects, their own click projects, which is based on a data set which is called the milkshake bar. And it's a milkshake bar, a story that I created already a long time ago, I think about 15 years ago. Start building up data sets, automatically generated, of course, so it's rather flat data, but also financial data in there, HR data in there, and they have to build a dashboard for the CEO of Click, and that's me, and that's where you came in.
Oh yes, yes, and then it was great. It was a very good group, and I was missing, giving lecture, teaching university. That's what I did years ago before moving to America, and it was great experience. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you're most welcome. And too bad I wasn't there in person. I had some family matters to take care of, but you were good taken care of by Wendy, one of the
Yes,
students. And I what I heard back is that it was a great lecture about data science and about click predict and so on. So yeah, thank you so much, Igor.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, now something else, man. You were discovering Amsterdam yesterday.
Yes.
And actually, we are not that far away from Amsterdam. We are at the Zaanse Schans, which is an area here in my area where I live. And what do windmills that we see behind us have to do with science, with machine learning?
Yeah, so it's interesting that you ask, and actually that's the reason why we're recording here and not in anywhere else. So the windmills, it's an interesting example of applied science, because I went yesterday to the university you teach, the Amsterdam University of Applied Science, and it's been a debate. It actually still exists for many years in statistics, in physics and mathematics, about the difference between theoretical science and applied sciences. It's a huge debate, like very controversial debate for many different things. But I truly believed in the applied science. I'm not taking sides here. I see the value of both sciences, but I truly believe in the power of applied science. So windmills are a great example. So windmills work and existed way before we understood why. So I'm not sure if you can look at it at this angle, but there is a little curvature in the. You see the windmills. There's a little curvature
Yeah.
that actually creates an interesting effect. And the way the Dutch were able to design that was not because they had the science and the math, but was just try and error, and they see what worked, what didn't work, and then event, which is kind of a science experiment without having explanation. Only years later, in 1738, Bernoulli, like great statistician, mathematician, like genius mathematician, was able to come up with the theory of fluids, explaining how fluids work. And then it's a very clever way because basically, if you increase speed, you reduce the pressure, and by doing the curvature, they kind of compensate for that effect. And the Dutch invented that before they knew the explanation. That's applied science.
That's applied. Yeah.
The same with to come here, we actually took a very like old traditional steam train, and steam train existed before thermodynamics, before Maxwell came up with the equations. Another example of applied science. Even neural network, which is the foundation of modern AI, we have some mathematical theory behind it, so we could build the first perceptrons, but the actual understanding how this works only came later with more theory. So applied science is where, well, I don't have the theory yet, but I have a real world business problem. Let's try it. Let's give it a try. Let's put ourselves there. Let's be, as in Data Voyagers, adventurous explorers.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So one more question. So yesterday you did some amazing discoveries at the Rijksmuseum.
Yes.
While looking at some paintings from Rembrandt and all the other things in the Rijksmuseum. Could you elaborate on that a little?
Well, it was a kind of related to actually to the applied science, and one thing that I actually reading researching recently that I found out that the time series that we all love, it was actually first invented without that name. Was actually for invented here in the Netherlands in like the 1600, where the East Indian Company, they needed money to fund their missions to go across the ocean and bring pepper and bring sugar and bring all of those products, but they need money to be funded. So I need to convince people to give them money, and then they said, "Oh, if you give me this money so I can make this trip, I'll give you a share of my profits when I return." But how much will their return be, and how much they can actually get in return depending on how much money they get from the investors? So they developed a mathematical theory that was basically the foundation of time series. Even without the name, they had a real problem, a real business problem. So they went and find a way to solve it. Again, apply science, in that case, really well combined in partnership with theoretical science.
Yeah, that reminds me of one of the first visual line graphs. What is his name? Playfair's Atlas, right? He thought, if I remove the longitude and the latitude and change it into numbers, we can see lines, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
Yeah. Or
also,
Charles Minard,
yeah,
the French, who he wanted to explain like the French campaign in Russia and why the
and how
French army lost so many soldiers and started losing the war there. And basically he used a very different flavor of line chart to be able to explain it. Again, a real business problem, and we find a solution for it.
Exactly. So we are the Data Voyagers, right?
The
So
Data
let's.
Voyagers, recording from the Netherlands. And thanks everybody so much.
Thank you.
Keep watching, subscribe to our channel.
Yeah, please do. Bye bye.
Bye.